So, good morning, everybody in Facebook land. So this is my coffee. It's that one packet of the Vietnamese coffee with cream and then hot water. And it's whipping cream. And those Vietnamese coffee packets are really benign. They're not very strong, which is fine because having something hot to drink and it's not so over the top, because I was even like shaking my leg right before I was drinking coffee and I was doing stuff, and then I heard my tea kettle go off. So anyways, yeah, so thank you, Audrey, for sharing that experience, the exploding head syndrome, because I've had that several times where I thought when I was about to wake up, hear stuff exploding. And I'm like, or hear, like you said, like a knocking, but hear stuff exploding, like you used to wake up with a start, you know, you're like, what the hell? And you thought you were woken up by someone knocking on the door or something else. And it's a little creepy because it's so loud in your head, and you thought maybe your husband or maybe your son or somebody else made a noise, and they're like, no, we didn't. But mostly I'm alone, so it's usually, I'm just like, what the hell's going on? And that's what people probably think of paranormal stuff too. Okay, but the stuff that I hear is like stuff hitting against some kind of tin somewhere in the house, in the middle of the house, because there's definitely, we have tunnels in this house. It's pretty crazy. Yeah. All right. So this last couple days, it's been aggressive. Yeah. Even with being off the Cafe Bustelo, I still was hungry yesterday. Okay. But I was hungry earlier, and I just made myself a bunch of burgers, put in some mac and cheese, and I just was steadily eating throughout the day, and I had to take a nap. And I'm seeing this pattern after having a major energy shift like we did this last weekend, like on Friday or Saturday, where I felt like I was drunk. And I'll tell you, whenever I go through that kind of process, even when I had PMDD, I would feel the initial feelings, and then I would have to sleep for a few days on and off. And so if that feeling came up on a Friday, I would be sleeping throughout the whole weekend and be like on a total flip. I would be up all night, sleeping all day, up all night, sleeping all day, eating. And then I'd try to get up on Monday to do a regular schedule. And that was horrible. And so until I could actually feel 100%, I wouldn't go into work until I felt 100%. And so that was how I did a lot of things for a long ass time. And that was a little crazy making. So recovering from that major energy shift last weekend has been an up and down process, but it's been great. And what's interesting those last couple of days, like yesterday, even this morning. Okay, so we hear about, remember back a couple years ago, people were complaining that, the Jjuice knocked people's teeth out. The Jjuice, purged their tooth out, did this, did that. People were blaming me left and right, like I did everything to them. Oh, Jesus Christ. That's what I'm saying. I kind of intercepted what the New Order was going to do anyways. So I don't recommend people do anything like going to the dentist and getting their fillings taken out. If you have to go to the dentist because you're in so much pain, do what you got to do. If you feel like you have to get teeth pulled, do what you got to do. But I'll tell you, if your teeth are still in there and they're not getting purged out in this environment and they're just in pain, well, most likely your body's trying to push out the damage and rebuild. Okay? You have to you have to understand what pain is. And of course, it's not for me to say that you have to be in pain, that you must be in pain. Because I'll tell you, when you do get something pulled out and it's not ready to come out, you'll be in pain at some point when the body wants to bring that tooth back. And that's a lot more to come back from, right? Than it is to deal with the tooth trying to come back. I mean, either way, you got to deal with it. You deal with it if it's at like 50%, your tooth's at 50%, and you're in pain and it's intermittent pain, but you at least have 50% growth and 50% other stuff to push out, that's 50%. But when you take something out completely, then that's 100% of pain that you got to deal with it coming back or growing, because it has to push through. Just like remember when you were growing your teeth and it was painful, you got to do teething rings, and right when kids are teething. So when something's growing and pushing through your gums, that's like, that's painful. Okay. So, be careful of, inducing purposely trauma to your body unless you absolutely have to, unless it's so that you have to have that relief. And there's no guarantee that anything getting pulled out or surgically taken out is going to give you relief. But people don't know what to do when they're in that much pain. And I get it. Okay, I understand that. So occasionally I'll feel like, I use my toothbrush, of course. I use the dental floss or those little swords that have the dental floss. And every so often when I eat like chicken or beef or something that's stringy, I just dental floss and I brush my teeth with regular toothpaste, fluoride toothpaste. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. But yesterday it was so weird. I felt like my gums were flapping. Yeah, I felt like there was a loose gum like right above where they had put fillings up here. Because they have fillings. You can see, all right, I have amalgam, all right, and then there's composite, and I'm sure started off here when I was a kid, they put some stuff up here. And so when I felt like something like was under my tooth, like I'm like, what the hell is this? I felt, and I was like, something got stuck under here or something, I don't know. And so something's getting stuck under there, and I'll just go like this, like trying to figure out what it is. And then I felt something that it was like, felt like it was just like, how would I say it? It's like a hard object. Yeah, there's like a sandy, hard object. So I'm sorry I had to look at that. But like I was feeling like, I would say calcium. To me, it was like a calcium or something. I felt like it was something like a composite, I guess. But it was hard. It was mineral. It felt like mineral rocks were underneath my gum. And I'm like, what the hell? I bite down on it and I'm like, ew, it would taste like sand, like a really hard, big glob of sand. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, that's so weird. I'm like, oh, I wonder what's going on here. And so I just get my little sword and see if there's anything in it. And everything's okay. And then this morning, when I release the demons and the excessive demons, when they're a little more goopier than, I could actually feel a bunch of sand, like so much sand. Now, here's the thing. Can I make correlation equals causation that the stuff that I'm feeling that's coming out of my waste material and then the stuff under my gums, can I make that correlation that that's actually fillings? Because I didn't like take that stuff and put it in a little thing and then, and look at it and analyze it. No, well, I'm assuming that, yeah, the body is going to push out fillings. All right. And so what did Audrey say? I've been getting that one shell of a tooth pulled that had desired effect, gave other teeth room to release. Okay. I've been having that. Getting that one shell of a tooth pulled out has had the desired effect. Okay. Gave other teeth room to release. Okay. And you may at some point in the future, it may regrow. So the last couple days, I've been eating so much milk-based products, macaroni and cheese with so much milk, just the whipped cream with so much milk, a lot of the beef, the beef, yeah, the hamburgers, the steak, all that stuff that is so like protein filled and nutritious. I've had a bunch of the cabbage too, but I'll tell you, when you're taking in like milk and meat and cheese and eggs and the fruit juice and vegetables, you're giving yourself so much nutrition. And in this environment, when you do have foreign objects in your body, like fillings, and some of them, like, okay, so up here, if there was a filling in the molar on the top, right, and then it I don't say bleeds, but it then fills in on the side, the weakest part of where your fillings are, I could see where the body's pushing out, because I feel pain every so often when the last couple years, every so often on and off, I would feel like pain around my teeth. Nothing crazy, nothing horrible. It wasn't like pain like excessive. It's just like where you feel like you have gingivitis. That's kind of the feelings. Like you feel like you have gingivitis, the gums are bleeding, all that stuff, and you're like, okay, whatever. But that's good that the gums are bleeding, because it's bringing oxygen and nutrition and everything, and then your body just releases and all that stuff. So it's not a horrible thing. And so I don't really make a big deal out of it because it's not painful. Like I have to go and get on Facebook Live and be like, oh my God. But it was interesting that I felt that gravelly material in my mouth. Okay, and then I felt so much gravelly material come out of me, and I'm like, oh my God. And it's not like you feel it when it comes out of you. You have to actually be at one with your waste material to figure out what's going on, what's coming out of your body. And so I'm very at one with my waste material because I know it seems gross, but this is your body. This is you. You got to know what goes in and you got to know what comes out, because that way you know everything. And then obviously, you know, nothing's a mystery, because you understand that you are fatty acid, amino acid, prohormones, and minerals. You are minerals, okay? And when there's minerals coming out of you in hard chunks and in weird gravelly material, you got to figure out, well, where is that coming from? What do you think it is? And you take a inventory of what's going on in your world, and then you can kind of have an idea, because sometimes you're not always going to know when things get pushed out. But that might give you an indicator that, oh, your body's now working on the least priority thing when you started understanding how to release the demons, okay? And so, yeah, my speculation, can I actually prove it and say this is what it is? I mean, where the hell? I don't eat gravel, okay? My teeth aren't falling out. I don't have any major pains. And when you have teeth falling out, you would either be in pain. Yeah, you would be in pain, because that would be a release process. You'd have to bring up those antibodies, okay? Those antibodies, those prostaglandins, the inflammation would have to be brought up and release that. And so that's the flack that I got 6 years ago when that guy, we know who he is. Well, some of us remember who he is. He was really high up or very boisterous in the anti-Vs, and he had a few kids that he was parading, saying that they were all injured from all this. And I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm just saying that he was high up in there, and when he tried the J world, and he might have had some issues with his mouth, like major issues, because we know people are carrying disease and carrying like a lot of dead stuff in their body. But if it could come back if they gave it if they understood how to respond to it. But some people have things in their mouth and things in their body hanging by a string, and so sometimes the body will say it's not worth trying to save, and then they purge it out, and then they're in pain, and it gets purged out. And that's the natural process of the body. But I don't have anything that's like dying in my mouth. I have nothing dying in my body that it would be painful when, you know, either salt or water or the frequencies. Because now, I mean, I'm off the J world. I'm not doing the J juice. I'm in the J world, but I'm not doing the J juice. But I definitely know these frequencies are so intense that if you have things that are foreign in your body, like fillings, okay, and the weak parts of your fillings, because I'm still, actually, in a lot of ways, I'm still waiting for the amalgam fillings, the gray fillings, to actually come out piece by piece. And I'm guessing over time they will. But it was just such a weird thing to feel up here, the gravelly material under my gums, okay? And it felt like my gum was, like, it was actually open. It was so weird. Like it was flapping out. But oh, okay. And by the way, on my timeline, there's a picture of a tardigrade where there's a little tardigrade that on both ends, their things are coming out like it's breathing. That's like your sphincter. Just so you understand, that's your sphincter. Okay? So we are part tardigrade and we are part hydra. We have 2 openings on each end. Hydra, just one opening. Their mouth is their anus, like jellyfish. But Hydra, one opening. One eye, one opening, right? But tardigrade and Hydra together, you have 2 openings on each end. And they both have a release process, a suction in and a suction out, okay? And so you have to that's your sphincter. That's basically a tardigrade type of mechanics when you think about it. And you have to train that part of your body to release. That's what people are all squeamish about. Like, oh, I can't do that. I'm sorry, but that's your body. If you don't want to know your body, somebody else will get to know your body and they will control it. That's all I got to say. And if you want someone else controlling your body, then you have no room to complain about anything at all whatsoever. And so why would you die? Why would people die, right? Why are they even giving 140 years as a maximum age as a projected maximum age for humanity? because humans don't just spontaneously combust. Okay, there's indicators. When you're afraid of food, when you're afraid of pain, you're in fear of everything. Yeah, okay, that's why humans die. And then you have all these diseases, which is basically energy that you don't want to respond to correctly. So what does the system do? If you don't want to respond to the energy correctly, they diagnose you. And then they say, okay, well, we want to hear all of your symptoms of evolution. And so then they have a whole thing, algorithm, and they speculate and they practice medicine. And sometimes they diagnose you correctly and give you medicine, right? If there's other people that have the same type of symptoms, or if they misdiagnose you. And then they're like, oh, well, we got to try again. We'll try this drug. We'll try this drug. Try this operation. Try that operation. Okay? And so there's indicators that if you don't respond to the energy that is emitting from you, if you don't respond to the energy emitted from you correctly and you don't want to respond to it, you don't like it, then you're gonna list out everything that's going on with you and you give that to your doctor, and then they will diagnose you. And if it's something new, okay, then they'll be like, oh wow, we have now a more exotic disease, because some people are at such deficits that the body is now finding different ways. It's trying to be strategic in trying to survive. So then you have a different combination and frequencies of symptoms. And so when you have all this antibiotics out there and antibiotic resistance, the body's going to try in different ways to avoid the blow. Just like with these cockroaches that found a way to evolve and have sex or procreation or foreplay differently, because the way that man has tried to kill cockroaches using sugar or using some other stuff. And so they don't use sugar anymore. I hear the cockroaches don't use sugar anymore because that was used to try to destroy them, because that was how man figured out how to use their biological processes. And so now cockroaches have to find a different way to go and woo their mate. Okay, well, that's the same thing why we get more exotic diseases, because of all the antibiotics. All the antibiotics, all the different rife machines, all the different supplements. When you're taking so many different combinations of tinctures and pills and powders and supplements and detoxes, you're now causing the body to find different ways to evolve, and that's called exotic diseases. Okay? That's what it is. That's why we have like influenza 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Why we have herpes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Because the body is trying to avoid that kind of situation, and it's trying to strategize its survival. And so then you have a new disease. It's not a coincidence why there's so many V's with so many versions of the same thing. Because you don't want to feel pain, so you got to go take another V, right, to lessen the blow, allegedly. But again, if you don't know how bad it could have been, if you hadn't taken the V, there's no way to say that the V made things better. You feel what you fucking feel. And if you don't want to feel what you fucking feel, then you're going to take every single tincture, every single herb, every single operation under the sun, and then you're going to exotify the diseases even more. That's what's going on with humans. I know I'm like having trouble getting these words out, but that's what's going on. Okay, so what would you die from? The fact that you can't fucking handle pain, and you're taking food away, or you're not eating enough food, or you're using everything in the medical holistic system against you in your life, and the body has nothing left to go and try to strategize. Because look at the people in the holistic world. They are on every single fucking herb, everything out there. And when that doesn't work, they go to another thing. When that doesn't work, that's why it's so lucrative to be in the holistic world. When people are not wanting to feel pain, because all you got to do is just, here, I got a new combination of this, a new combination of that. Here, drink this. Oh, here, look, here's this energy machine. Oh, here's the supplement. And it's a new company with another concoction with it. I mean, that's what the FDA approves, is they know that when so many people have been on that same drug, and then it doesn't work the way they expect it to work, because the pain comes back, or they're not getting their insulin anymore, right? Because the body can't produce insulin because that drug doesn't work. So now it goes to something else, or the body just stops producing insulin because it doesn't get the food, and it doesn't have the other hormonal support. And so that drug trying to produce insulin doesn't work. And then it turns into cancer. Then they have to go recall that and go something else. Okay. It's crazy. Humans have developed their own fucking suffering. Okay? Humans, and so that's why they die. It's because they can't fucking handle evolution. And they use everything in their environment against them. That's why there's food allergies, because they're using even food as medicine, like I said. And so the fact that now some of us understand this, and you won't know, when you think about it, you won't know who's going to be 140, 150. Because you think, because someone is like, looks like they're 80 or 90, and they said, oh yeah, that's a person that's 140, 150. You think, oh yeah, because they're all sucked in and wrinkled up and all infirm, that's what a 140-year-old looks like. A 140-year-old could look like Miley Cyrus right now. She could be 140 years old. I'm not saying she is. But in the future, 140-year-olds are not going to look like someone who just walked out of a fucking crypt. People who are going to be 300, 400 years old are not going to look like Moses in the Bible with his long, or Gandalf, because he looks like Moses. 140-year-olds are going to look like your average 30-year-old just walking around doing their thing. You won't know what people's ages are or who they are unless you're the government, right? And you're doing their driver's licenses and you've been tracking them ever since they were born. Okay, so my driver's license is up in next year. I'll be 50 next year, and I'll get a new one, and I'll have a new picture, and it won't really change because I'm telling you, I make sure I keep on the weight. I make sure I eat so much more, so much for the situation, because believe me, I don't overeat to try to make up and force my body to hold on to stuff. No, I'm sorry. When I get hungry, like I was yesterday, I had at 9 o'clock in the morning, I had the hamburger. I took 2 more hamburgers. I went through like 9 patties in like the last couple of days. Okay. Put them in the pan, fried them up, put them in my leftover macaroni and cheese. Then I had a bagel and put it in butter and with jelly on it. And then I also had a bagel again later on with spaghetti sauce and put that in the microwave. Spaghetti sauce, dipped it in there. I mean, I eat constantly because the way the frequencies were. And I felt the frequency shift in my right ear at some point last night. And then I felt the heat right afterwards. And then even a few hours later, like say maybe 4 or 5 hours later in the middle of the night, I'm blowing my nose, blowing my nose, blowing my nose. Okay, so, I mean, all of that with eating, with the frequencies, with just our environment produces life, and you have to release the excess life. You have to, cough, sneeze, blow your nose, pull the poop out if necessary, and understand why things are falling out of your mouth if they need to, naturally, not because you're taking stuff out, but that's fine if Audrey had to because she needed to for whatever reason, and that's fine. She'll work with that down the road when that comes up, and that might come up where, yeah, your mouth is going to produce teeth at some point. And see, here's the thing. When people are born, it's called hyperdontia. Now, I knew someone that had 12 teeth pulled. 12 teeth pulled. That's called hyperdontia. And I don't know how a person would naturally, I don't know what's right as far as how much teeth, but when humans have teeth and it's painful, right? Then the system goes in and pulls it out. But why is it painful? Because the body maybe overproduced it for whatever reason, and the body also has to naturally release it if it's not adapting to a situation. Okay? I couldn't tell you if a person left the 12 teeth in their mouth, the extra teeth in their mouth, if that would have helped them or hurt them. I mean, it's hard to say. We have a lot of people born with so many different conditions and situations, and I just got lucky. They had a slight overbite. That's about it. I had a few cavities when I was a kid, and I've been to the dentist. I think the last time I went to the dentist was back in like 2008, 2007, 2008. That was the last time I've been to the dentist. So I've not been to a dentist for probably 18 years, give or take. Okay? Or something like that, yeah. 10 years. That's not 18 years. 2008 to 20 is like 10 years. So 12, 13, like 15, 12, 13, 14 years. And I don't need to see a dentist. I never had orthodontia. But can you imagine someone on the J world that had teeth pulled out, like 12 teeth pulled out? What would that be like for them in the future doing the J world? And then and then you realize that with all of that going on, then you have these autoimmune disorders. But if you had 12 teeth in your mouth, I mean, it would be hard to people to take you seriously and all this stuff. So it's like a catch-22 with parents that have kids that have all these different issues. How do you make them normal in our society without modifying them physically, if need be, because of those type of conditions? And so I don't know. And so I don't know everybody can do the J world. I get that, because I can't imagine. John says, me too, no dentist. I can't imagine having to go through that process. If that even comes up, would your body regrow those 12 teeth and then purge it out later on? I could not tell you. I wouldn't know. But I know from my experience, okay? And I'm saying this from my experience, having that gravelly stuff come out and then having that stuff come out of my poop, like, wow, that's some interesting stuff. Because again, I don't eat gravel. And the only thing that's really hard in my body is like bones, right? And why would I be releasing bone material? I would feel it in my body. Your body would soften it up. It would be something. But when it comes to composite type of minerals that are used to plug up holes of cavities, yeah. And then feeling that one little gravel thing that caught up under my gums and felt like gums were like flapping out, then yeah, I can make that educated guess that most likely parts of my feelings are finally being pushed out. And it's not spontaneous. I'll tell you, it's not spontaneous. It's been going on because when you have pain in your mouth every so often, you have gingivitis and all this other stuff going on, and your gums are bleeding and you do feel pain and you're always massaging your gums too just to get the blood moving and all that. I mean, your body's doing stuff, but you don't try to stop it. You don't take medication. I don't take medication for it. I don't even use the Jjuice. I mean, I have a big thing of salt water in my bathroom. It's just sitting there. And sometimes, if I feel like I need it, which if I have a paper cut, which doesn't happen very often, I'll stick my whole hand in there and just let, and that's it. But I don't use the salt water really for anything except for just minor cuts. Like my husband, if he has a cut, he will never do it. But that's what it's there for, isn't just to be there for whatever. Okay, and it could be just to wipe my face if I really want to, but I use CeraVe. Okay, so that so at some point, yeah, your body will purge out stuff, and it'll happen over time. Okay, but as far as dying, people don't die spontaneously unless it's like something electrical or freakish. But for the most part, if we all died spontaneously, that would be kind of weird, and the government would be like looking at the factors that led up to that and then figure something out, because they don't want their capital to die spontaneously. And so there are indicators of why people die. It's the fact that they cannot handle evolution, and they keep making their evolution more exotic because of all the tinctures and the herbs and the extracts and the therapies and the medical and the holistic system. Like this is all the suffering is self-induced. And so when you want to go away from the medical system and you go in the holistic system, you're doing the same thing but making the diseases more exotic. And so until you can finally get away from the medical holistic system, you stop compartmentalizing minerals and supplements and all that, and you realize that you have to eat all food in the food supply, and you have to feel the pain, you pull the poop out. And if it's hard because you have mobility issues, then you'll find ways, intermediaries, until you get to a mobile state. And it could be for a while that you don't get that, where you get into that mobile state. You may not be able to do that for a while. So you do what you got to do, but people shouldn't just die spontaneously. In the future, a person who's like 150 years old will look like someone that looks like they're 30. That, in my opinion, they'll look like 30 or 40. And they won't look like super gorgeous and all, like gorgeous out, because those people that are on like the plastic surgeries are doing all the different makeups and filters. We got some people who don't do milk. I hope they survive. I hope you survive climate change. That's all I gotta say. You survive. Yeah. People who don't do milk, shooting themselves in the foot. But I can't convert them. Because remember, people don't want to feel pain. And milk has the necessary elements, the proteins, the fats, everything that people are missing. But why don't people do milk? Because milk's not poison, right? Why don't people do milk? Because they don't want to evolve, because it's painful. So I already can tell people are not going to get this. They will not survive this climate change, because you're going to need everything out there. If she can't do milk, then is she doing meat? I mean, you want to ask these people these questions, but it's none of your business. You can't go and be like, okay, I can't convert her. But now, so I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying except for I hope you survive climate change. So if you go to where it says about the milk, this post, it says lactose intolerance, March 24th, means you have a lot of demons to release and you want to keep them. And so when milk is helping you release the demons and you demonize milk, how is she releasing the demons? She could be doing so much Jjuice. She could be doing so much detoxes. Because I'm telling you, if you're not using food to release the demons, what are you using? You're using aggressive elements to release the demons. So you can agree with me. She says, oh, I agree with you, but I don't do milk. Again, when someone does not do milk, meat, cheese, eggs, fruits, vegetables, whatever it is, they have intolerances. Because I'll tell you, who doesn't like ice cream? There's milk in that. Who doesn't like whipped cream? Why don't people like the things that actually keep people alive? Because they have intolerances. That's why people die. Because they're intolerant. Because I'll tell you, there's nothing out there in the food supply that's poison. Nothing. But when you've been political against meat, I get it, because you force yourself to watch those stupid ass movies that meant to traumatize you. I purposely don't watch those movies that mean to traumatize you, especially around the food industry. I don't. But I understand. That's why I have no problem with Bill Gates developing lab-created meat. Because it's still a protein that was then cultured in a lab. And then you can make meatballs and whatever else. So I get it. So I have no problem. But those that are against the meat industry because of all the farming and all that, they're also against Bill Gates and against biotech. And so they're shooting themselves in the foot being that political against their food. And so you're going to see just evidence all over the place of how people will say, oh yeah, I agree with what you're saying, but okay, I don't need your agreement. I don't give a fuck if you agree with me or not. It just sucks to watch people starve themselves because of how intolerant they are to food. But I don't need agreement. Just save yourself. I agree with you, but I don't do milk. Okay, well, that was such a non-answer. Who cares? But again, that's the holistic world. That's who has been predominantly in the J world, is the holistic world. And a lot of them were trying to have me, we're trying to stay with the diet and withhold food and stay only with the pink salt. It's like, why did you change the pink salt to the white salt? Because you had to see how expeditious the white salt was, and it really cured you that quickly. Okay, but that wasn't the intention. But you could see that that white salt has a major curative effect, but that's not the intention. Again, and it's easier to drink too, yeah, because you don't have all those extra organic material to smell from the yeast, or if it happens to be above the brine, get a little moldy on the top, because that's what the minerals did. So it made it smell bad. But life was able to grow in the ferments and that much salinity, whether it was the pink salt or the white salt. White salt was just cleaner. It's easier. It was faster. And yeah, it cured you faster because it made you constipated faster. So then you realize you didn't need that much. So we had to actually fast forward the activity of the salt so you saw what it actually did. Okay? And so I guess there was a method behind the madness. I wanted to get to the most end result fast as possible, so we saw the end result instead of having to prolong it and drag it out for years on the pink salt, and we didn't really see how expeditious it could actually be, how curative it actually could be. And so you take away all the extra minerals in the pink salt, you go right to the white salt. Now you see how expeditious it is, and you don't want to be cured. That's why the constipation. That's why the white salt was pissing people off, because they got constipated, they got cured like that. And they were seeing stuff. I mean, they were seeing stuff fall off. They were feeling relief. But again, that was not the intention. And so we actually came upon the realization that that was not the intention faster, because we came to the resolution faster. We took away all the intermediaries like the minerals. We saw exactly what the salt could do by itself. Okay? And so even when I don't know there's a method behind the madness, there is a method behind the madness. And so that's why I relinquish myself from all of the people who are intolerant of food. I mean, if you have intolerance of food, whatever it is, that's on you. I can't convert you, because I can't tell you to feel pain. I can't tell you to change your political beliefs or your religious beliefs. I can't tell someone who is against pork to eat pork. But I'll tell you, that's another way to starve yourself from nutrition that you need. Because the way things are going, you can't afford to be picky about what you eat. You can't afford to be. People are dying, and they don't want to feel the pain of evolution, and so they stay away from meat, milk, cheese, eggs, fruits, and vegetables, and they only have is a celery and air sandwiches. You can't tell them that they have to eat. You can't. So anyways, 140 years old is just like me saying 300 years old. What the hell? Okay? What the hell? And so all I gotta say is that in the future, you're not gonna know. You're not gonna know who's 150 years old. You'll know with me. The government will know. The average, like Facebook knows who all the stupid trolls are out there. They're being stupid to people. They're hiding behind, fake accounts or whatever. So Facebook knows who you are. The government will know who people who are 100 plus years old that look like they're 30. And maybe your employers do. Maybe some people if they've been told. But if you go into a job and no one really knows who you are, okay, and only the HR knows, and then they can't really say too much unless they gossip. People won't know your age. You can go in there, you can be 150 years old with so much years of experience, and you'll kick everybody's ass and stuff and outdo them or whatever. But that's the thing, is that really you won't know the average person out there. When you're walking down the street, you won't know what their background is. And again, they could be 30 years old and they could be 150. But how would you prove it? Well, the government has the records. I mean, again, I've been giving my social security number, obviously, out to the government. Facebook knows who I am. I do my driver's license every year, or every 4 years or 5 years. Okay, so the government knows. That's why they want to track everyone, so they can kind of see, is your lifestyle full of longevity, or is your lifestyle full of herbs and extracts? Only give a person maybe up to maybe 60 years, 70 years. So they should be keeping track of all of you, so they could see who's blowing smoke at people's asses and selling them a fucking dream with all their herbs and extracts, and who actually understands. And when they're switching their tone and saying, oh yeah, people could live to be 140, when I said at 300 on Dr. fucking Phil, and Daily Mail was making fun of me about saying I destroyed someone with this, and I was saying you could live up to be 300 years plus. I just said 300 because could I say forever? What the hell does that mean, right? So I put a number to it, 300. But it could be more. If we have a huge nuclear disaster, then obviously. But if the environment holds life, what would cause you to die? If environment holds life and you're eating and you're releasing, you're not taking all the herbs, extracts, and tinctures and operations, and you're not food sensitive, you're not food political, what the fuck would you die from besides somebody hurting you? Obviously. But you wouldn't die from natural causes. Okay? So yeah, if you take away all the predators and all the crap out there that could potentially cause you to pass away, and you just live naturally on food and no medicine and no operations, what would you fucking die from? Spontaneous combustion? Again, that's very rare. If that happened more often, then the government would probably figure out what the hell's going on. Because again, they don't want their capital to spontaneously combust, because you are capital. So anyway, so there goes that. So I've outlasted Dr. Phil. So all you people that were all for Dr. Phil and thought he was the next best thing to slice bread and thought he was a fucking god, well, his show is off. He has diabetes. Bless his heart. I hope he survives the diabetes. I hope he survives climate change. I hope his wife survives climate change. But given she's all into the makeup and the cleansers and all of that, and she's part of the whole Hollywood, let's get everybody going down the ship together, I doubt that, but hey, maybe he might turn this shit around. Maybe his kids might turn stuff around. Maybe he disappears and he comes back later under a different name, under a different ID. So they don't make the connection that, oh yeah, it's Dr. Phil, but he looks so much younger. Oh my God. I don't know. But now, hopefully the Hollywood elite will figure, some of them will, that are high up there. And some are not made to know this, and they're stuck. Like Gwyneth Paltrow, she's stuck. Like, Miley Cyrus and some of those that are younger, they're stuck. Like Black China and the Kardashians, they're stuck leading the Pied Piper, leading their flock, people that worship them, over the cliff. But some out there that aren't like a major influencer, that are behind the scenes, that can afford to be behind the scenes because they're behind the scenes, they might actually have it figured out. And maybe Jeff Bezos, maybe Mark Zuckerberg and Priscilla Chan, maybe they might figure it out too. Who knows? I use their platform to put this out there. Maybe they might take a clue from this. Maybe. I don't know. All right. Bye.